Cloudy today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 73 to 85. Tonight a passing shower, otherwise cloudy, low 66. Low clouds tomorrow, followed by some sun with a shower or thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, high 83 to 87. Saturday cloudy, high 89 to 93. Sunday cloudy, high 91 to 94. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian May.
Hey everybody, join me, Adam Mikulin, for AM Ocala Live on April 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. with our special guest, Higher Education and speakers, Dr. Jennifer Frines, Associate VP of Career and Professional Programs, and Dr. Rob Wolf, Dean of Business, Technology, and Career and Technical Education, as we tackle the topic of retooling and preparing for the workforce. Again, that's April 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. right here on 96.3 FM, 1370 a.m., The Source.
The Paycheck Protection Program under the CARES Act provides 100% federally guaranteed loans to small businesses. Available to businesses with fewer than 500 employees. Funds can be used towards payroll costs, rent, utilities, and interest on mortgages. Small businesses are encouraged to get, gather, and go. Get informed by visiting getgathergo.com. There you can gather the needed information and go apply as soon as the SBA program opens with local lenders. For info, visit getgathergo.com to get your business ready to apply.
We are proud to announce the Conservative Watch Hour on WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM every Friday at 11 a.m. Hosted by Annie Marie Delgado, President of Trump Team 2020 Florida, and her co-host Ann Vandersteel with SteelTruth.com. We are serving a higher level of excellence, and we are the only program of this type in this market. Don't miss your weekly dose of conservative talk radio. WOCA 11 a.m. Fridays, 96.3 and 1370 a.m.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. As we are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, coming up on 20 minutes before the top of the 11 o'clock hour, as this will be our little show round out here, as we do every Thursday, as we have Marion County Commissioner Kathy Bryant, as we have her in the studio. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
All righty. So as we got you in here, we've got a little bit of a wet Thursday, which is fine. We've been talking about the weather a little bit because you know me. I try to spearhead a little different direction than COVID-19 all the time.
Right.
So the weather is one of those things that everybody talks about, and it doesn't necessarily get political. So I think I've talked out the weather, which now that we have you in here, we can get back to some notations of some seriousness that's going on within the community, but still keep everything light and jovial as we round out the show.
Well, that would be awesome. But we can talk about the weather a little bit if you want to. It did wake me up at 3:30 this morning.
Oh, did it?
Little nice slow rolls of thunder, and then the rain. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. It was hard for me to get out of bed this morning because it was just right. The temperature was cool. We had the window cracked. The rain had that wonderful sound to it. Oh, it was tough. It was tough.
I see the sun looks like it's trying to peek out a little bit, though.
Yeah, and that's what they're calling for, a little bit more of sunshine for the later part of the afternoon, as it will kind of clear out a little bit for tonight. But then they're saying tomorrow it'll drum up some more moisture in the air, and we should see more rain tomorrow late afternoon, and that's going to carry through the weekend.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep. So we're going to have kind of a wet weekend, but again, kind of going back to what we've had you in here in lieu of COVID-19 and everything the last few weeks, it's still personal responsibility and up to us to kind of just continue to what we're going to do towards the end of the month till we get some new projections and numbers come out from Health Department. And we talked with Mark last week, and April 24th, 25th, 26th are big dates to see where we're at again and start having that conversation about normalcy and when we can get through the other side. So with a little bit of wet weather, it's kind of a good excuse. It makes me feel better about staying inside and being a couch potato a little bit and catching up on the streaming stuff and reading a book and all that, which I say reading a book. I should have been reading more books, but I've been on the phone too much. There's a lot of funny videos out there and memes in lieu of everything, and I'm kind of a comedic guy, so I find that stuff pretty amusing. But anyway, I digress. We've got you in here to talk some important stuff that's going on with the community, and I'm glad to have you in here. It's glad to have another warm body in the studio to talk some other things. I appreciate it.
Well, and I'm happy to be here today and happy to give some updates on some different things. From Sunday to Monday, we did go over 100 on our numbers.
Yeah.
It was fairly interesting. In a 24-hour period, we had 7 to 8 cases that were positives that were confirmed. Mm-hmm. And I, got cautiously, optimistically excited when we rolled into the next day and we had 0 positives come back. And then yesterday, I believe we had 2, and there have a few more that they're investigating today that we could see confirmed on our evening report. But overall, as a community, we're still doing fairly well when it comes to community spread. I just think the biggest thing that we have to keep reinforcing with people, because we have seen that there have been some cases of people not doing what they're supposed to do, is safer at home, and social distancing means that you are socially interactive with the people that you are socially interactive with on a daily basis, as the people that you work with here.
Right.
Or the people that live in your house. You don't sit home on Sunday afternoon when you're bored and call all your friends to come over for a barbecue.
Right.
Because then you're cross-contaminating.
Right.
And so, we just want to remind people of that. And then also social distancing when you're going to the grocery store or when you're going anywhere else. I know it's hard. It's so hard. You're stuck at home. You're bored. Someone says, hey, we need to go to the grocery store, and everybody wants to pile in the car and go to the grocery store.
I'll come. That sounds like something to do. Oh, yeah, I'll come too. Are we all going? Hold on a minute. Yeah.
Right. That's not the thing to do. And, you really want to make a list. You want to send one person. You make a list. You get in, you get out, and try to make a list that can last you as many days as is financially feasible for you. So that you're not having to go every single day.
Right.
And don't take this opportunity to go to Walmart or Target and just shop for things that you don't need. We still have a ways to go. And as we say constantly, the choices we make today will affect us in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
So you'll be able to see we are fully expecting to see a little spike in a couple of weeks because of the Easter holiday, because we had some folks that just didn't adhere to the recommendations, and we know that.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, unfortunately, that they understand at the health department to plan for in the projection of the numbers and stuff. But yeah, understood.
Yeah. So, and we also have another initiative that I'd like to talk about today. We have seen quite a rise in child abuse cases. We have a lot of children that are at home, parents that we understandably are frustrated.
Right.
This is hard for everybody. So we have a new initiative out there, and it's called Breathe, Don't Break. And, we're just encouraging, April is Prevent Child Abuse Month. And so we are encouraging people with a few things that you can do. If you get stressed out, parents, caregivers, And instead of not taking a moment to breathe, and, we don't want you to take out that frustration on your children. We want you to just take a step back, go for a walk if you have to, remove yourself from the situation for a bit if you can. Reach out to a pastor or a community leader. If you know a family that you know is struggling, take the initiative to try to help them in the ways that you can while being safe. We realize that this is going on in our community, and we want to make sure that we're remembering that and encouraging parents that there is help out there if you need it. Right. Highly recommend people go to the Marion County, Florida Facebook page, the Kimberly Center Facebook page. Cox Cable is running a PSA, and you can also go and check these websites for great resources, preventchildabuse.org or preventchildabusefl.org. And just remember, breathe, don't break.
That's good, because I think at the end of the day, as much as everybody's been doing this now for a little over a month, a good friend of mine is actually up north, so Ohio did everything a little bit more sooner, in a sense that it was kind of like, a little shocking in a way. But what I'm getting after is his wife was still going to work, but he had to work from home. And in lieu of the online resources and curriculum, he also had to teach his 6-year-old daughter. So it's a lot. It's a lot to ask inside the home with a few dogs and everything in a confined area, trying to do many things at one time. And we know as well as anybody that with kids, they're when they're uncomfortable, they let you know. And sometimes you have to, like you said, just take a moment and breathe, knowing that they're going to show their emotions, they're going to act out, but it's up to us to not show that frustration or just like you said, just breathe. And whatever emotion you're feeling, that rubs off on them. So if you're feeling anxious or stressed, they're going to be uncomfortable too, because they can sense that. So it's one of those things to just take a moment to breathe, so that way you're in the moment to understand your surroundings, to deal with what's necessary at that moment in the best way you can, rather than just reacting.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of it, is the reaction because of how you feel emotionally in that moment, just to react. But it's to tell everybody, take a moment, take a breath, and think about how to handle it the best way you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
It's very good for people to hear that.
Yeah, because sometimes too, I really think overall, like most of the stuff, and you can agree with this to a certain point, as public service announcements go. There's times that I feel like, man, it's like, most of the community gets talked to like petulant children. Like, wash your hands, not too far apart. Cover your mouth when you cough with your hand, and overall, sometimes as adults, it starts to feel a little oppressive, because you're like, oh God, I'm doing that. But for something like this that is serious, and on a serious note, when you brought it up, this is one of those things that, because of the situation with having to stay at home, that drums up a lot of those emotions and those feelings of just quick reaction, because it's frustrating, because things become frustrating, because dealing with this whole thing is frustrating. The finances and having to circumvent that is frustrating. But we're just telling everybody that of everything we can tell you, which you might already know, but for this, with folks with kids and what you've seen and what you brought up with numbers and stuff, is just let everybody remind themselves, take a breath. We're all human. It's understandable to feel a certain way, but take a breath to better the handle situation rather than just reacting to it.
Absolutely.
Which is good.
We have another initiative, and it's called the Because We Can. And, that initiative is a personal one for me. And I would encourage anybody to jump in on that one. And that is, if you're capable of helping your neighbor that is struggling, you see a single mom out there, she's lost her job, and she's struggling. It's so very easy to provide one of the things, or the thing that we all need, and that's some food.
Yeah.
So I encourage anyone who can to reach out to anyone that is struggling in this time, because they can't go to work, and pick them up a grocery store gift card.
Yeah.
Give them the opportunity to be able to do that. I'm not encouraging people to go out and go shopping for others at this time unless it's someone that's homebound and you are safe to go to the grocery store.
Right.
Other than that, it's so easy to just grab that when you're getting your groceries and drop it off to somebody that is in need.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And we have to continue doing the things that we're doing. I know that it feels like, for me, I told someone the other day, I said, I feel like I'm living in Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's the movie.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every day. And I keep hoping for a different outcome.
Right. I could definitely see where you're coming from on that analogy because, too, and I know with what you guys do and talking with Mark and everything, when you wake up, your routine has to be initially, okay, what are the numbers? Where are we at? What's the expectations for today? And you've been doing that for so many weeks now that I'm sure it could feel that way. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the harder part is like we're getting somewhere, you know, like it's hard to really write down the progress, but there is something there, and eventually we're going to get through this. Yeah,
absolutely. If you think about it, today is April 16th, and we're halfway through. We're over the hump now.
Yeah, exactly.
We're on the downhill slope of the initial 30-day stay at home. And I just, again, encourage people to continue following the CDC recommendations. Wash your hands. That's probably the single most important thing for people to do.
Yeah.
And then the social distancing. And when grandma has a birthday, don't everybody go over to grandma's house for a birthday party.
Yeah.
Or when the grandkids have a birthday, don't gather to celebrate. There's, with technology today, we can still celebrate, but we still have to celebrate independently in our respective homes. I know we've been doing that. It was really, really hard not to see my grandkids on Easter Sunday. Yeah. But I know that it's important because I don't know about you, but for me, if I thought that I possibly gave someone COVID-19, I would be beside myself, especially someone within our most vulnerable population.
Right.
And that's probably the most driving force for me is going, I don't want to have that kind of responsibility on my shoulders.
Right. To know that you may have given that to somebody and have it been affected in a way that causes a greater consequence than we really want. Absolutely. As we got just about 5 minutes before the top of the hour, there's just one more thing to mention in lieu of this, maybe some good news that's in the conversation of the boat ramps.
Oh, boat ramps.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that we've dealt with, I think that's been one of the hardest, believe it or not. I laugh. I tell people all the time, my husband's actually mad at me over that one. He's still mad at me over that one. He's like, seriously? But we are looking into it. We have been tracking everything with the FWC guidelines that came out and with some law enforcement that we've been able to acquire at our hotspots. We believe that we may be able to get those open this weekend. We're looking into it. I just want to remind people, again, if we open the boat ramps, this doesn't mean call all your friends and tell them to meet you at the boat ramp and jump on the boat to go out for the day.
Right.
You have to remember to keep it to the people within your circle. It's so very, very important, as tempting as it is, that we don't do that, and that you're following social distancing guidelines, not only on the water, and they're actually more intense when you're on the water than just in public. So when you're at the ramps, if you're launching, don't crowd people, don't everyone go wait on the dock in big groups to get on your respective boat, and just make sure that you're following all of the social distancing guidelines. And we do have a few places within our county that we know are gathering spots for our boaters, our recreational boaters. I'm just telling you, don't do it. Yeah. There will be law enforcement out on the water, and it is up to a $500 fine if you're gathered in a large group. So we want people to be able to have that recreational opportunity. And we understand that, people love to fish. I love to fish. I love to be out on the water. And so we just are asking that we continue to be responsible while we're out there enjoying a beautiful afternoon, if we get a beautiful afternoon.
Right. Absolutely. And is there a time where that people can look for a decision to be made on that, or when more news would be coming from whether or not that would come to fruition?
I think I'm sure that if the county does anything different, it'll end up being in the news.
Gotcha.
We'll certainly do some type of an announcement on our social media, Facebook page, and we'll make sure that the public is aware of what we do when we do it.
And that's for all county boat ramps?
No.
That's what I was
So remember,
pointing
some of our boat ramps are located on state property.
Right.
The state is not opening up those. It would be a select few that we're looking at, and we'll make sure all that information is put out there.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what we wanted to get out to the folks, is that a little light there for some people who are thinking, man, something else to do, but again, doing it responsibly.
Yes, and I think it's important for people to realize, too, that not all the boat ramps in Marion County are run by Marion County.
Right.
We have this huge thing out off of 40 called the Ocala National Forest, and some of those ramps located on some of the lakes out there are actually run by Forestry Service.
Yeah.
And then we also have some that are run by the state, and those decisions to close or open those are not made at the local level.
Nope. And that's where a lot of the argumentative stuff, I'm sure, had come through about, well, why not? Well, why not this one?
Right.
That's the difference. So within that, and the idea of the conversation to bring that to a roundup, is the idea that they're talking about it within the local authority to do that if they can, and making the decisions to do that. They'll let the public know about it, and those are the county boat ramps.
Yes.
That will be able to have possibly those.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yes.
The county boat ramps come open. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Kathy, as we make our way now to the top of the 11 o'clock hour. A lot of good information just to be spoke, and just to keep, like we said, a little bit of information here at the source, keep you informed, but maybe with a little bit of the stuff I read, entertained at the same time, as it was a show here Thursday that, like you said, downhill a little bit. Tomorrow is Friday. Looking forward to Friday, as we'll have a little bit more wet weather, but that's okay, as we make our way through another week of April that gets us closer to the conversation of when we can come out on the back side of this to maybe get back to some normalcy altogether. So appreciate it. Kathy, like I said, thank you very much. For AM Ocala Live, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, your host, Adam Mickulin, as like I said, yeah, tomorrow's Friday, TGIF. Everybody stay safe out there, and stay a little dry, too. But until tomorrow, goodbye.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
An awaited report has come out, and when it comes to the nation's unemployment situation, things are a little bit better this week, but still far from normal. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to sweep across the nation, the number of Americans filing for jobless benefits is down a bit, yet still staggeringly high. The Labor Department reporting that 5.24 million people submitted first-time requests for jobless benefits last week. Most economists had been expecting the number today to be somewhere in that neighborhood. While it is down from a record 6.6 million the week prior, it still means an estimated 22 million people have now sought jobless benefits since the nation started shutting things down in March amid the spread of the virus. President Trump is expected to unveil his plan today for restarting the U.S. economy, and you are listening to USA Radio News.
This report is brought to you by the College Board. The unprecedented spread of the coronavirus has closed schools across the country, some for the rest of the year. So what about the millions of high school students who have been working hard to earn college credits by taking advanced placement classes? The College Board has unveiled virtual supports for students, including free, live, and on-demand AP review lessons on YouTube, and the first ever online AP exams. Students can take the AP exam at home, on a device of their choice, in a safe, comfortable environment. Trevor Packer is the Senior Vice President for Advanced Placement and Instruction at the College Board.
We've surveyed AP students nationwide, and the vast majority want to take the exam. That's why we've set up a process that's simple, secure, and accessible. We want to make sure that every student has the chance to earn the college credit they've been working so hard for.
The 45-minute online exams will be given from May 11th through May 22nd. Makeup test dates will also be available. To learn more, visit cb.org.
The president's talking about reopening the economy and getting back to normal. But more and more governors are ordering that face masks be worn just to do simple business, as we hear from Marianne Perry.
As the COVID-19 crisis continues, Governor Larry Hogan has issued an executive order requiring everyone in the state of Maryland to wear a face mask or face covering whenever they are inside a retail establishment or using public transportation. The order also applies to staff members of those businesses. The executive order goes into effect 7 o'clock Saturday morning.
A federal CDC response team is to tour the Smithfield Foods plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota today. The processing facility, which accounts for 5% of all U.S. pork production, is now closed after more than 500 of its employees tested positive for COVID-19. JCPenney is considering filing for bankruptcy protection because of the economic downturn, and this is USA Radio News.
At the American Veterinary Medical Association annual convention in Washington, D.C., I spoke with Dr. John Howe, AVMA president, about One Health.
One Health is really a collaboration between physicians and veterinarians or public health officials. For example, in Minnesota, our state public health veterinarian deals with zoonotic diseases, rabies, for example. Animals are sentinels for humans, and humans are sentinels for some infections in animals.
There's more valuable information at avma.org.
A state hard hit by coronavirus is trying to help its working residents, as we hear from USA Radio's Wendy King.
California is making plans to reopen businesses to help ease the unemployment crisis that they have there due to the coronavirus pandemic. California was once a state with record low unemployment, but now that's reversed.
Just like that, now 2.7 million people claiming now the need for unemployment insurance in just over 1 month.
California Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order to expand state unemployment office hours. He also created a fund to help illegal immigrants.
We feel a deep sense of gratitude for people that are in fear of deportation, but are still addressing the essential needs of tens of millions of Californians.
Google is rolling out a new kids section to the Google Play Store earlier than scheduled, with teacher-approved apps for learning at home. Google was going to be launching the section later this year anyway, but it's moved up the timeline with the nation's students home from school because of the coronavirus. The apps will include a list of what things are about, what age they're for, and why teachers think they're effective. You can find us online at usaradio.com. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
Tahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus doesn't grow on.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it. Why is there a mariachi band in... Wait, are you digging up the yard again?
It's not what it looks like.
Oh, really? Because it looks like you're tearing up my yard right over the septic tank.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit what it looks like. See, what happened was...
Wait, let me guess. The septic is backing up and you thought you were Fix-It Guy again and would take it upon yourself and dig up my yard?
That's Mr. Fix-It Guy.
Uh-huh. What did we say the new rule was?
No eBay when you're not home.
Well, yes, but not that one. If water runs through it...
I know, they do it. But this is septic.
Yes, Mike Scott Plumbing does septic.
I knew that.
Uh-huh. 866-314-4443.
I know. 866-314-4443. Got it.
And what's with the mariachi band?
You didn't say anything about Amazon.
On next week's episode of What Not to Do.
Come on, an elephant?
WOCA.
Ocala.
This is a special edition of the Mike Gallagher Show, Coronavirus in America.
The battle continues, but the data suggests that nationwide we have passed the peak on new cases.
I put my hand out in total partnership and cooperation with the president.
We'll be opening up states, some states much sooner than others, and we think some of the states can actually open up before the deadline of May 1st.
As we face this national emergency pandemic, now's the time for knowledge and clarity. This is the place to get it.
What is the new normal going to be? We're talking about the second quarter, unemployment possibly north of 15%.
What we had before was a miracle, and we think this is going to be even more than a miracle. We're going to do it because we have the greatest people in the world.
2020 is definitely going to be one for the history books. And as we take it all in, we know that we'll get through this together. We're America. And now, here's Mike.
The death toll continues to rise, over 31,000 deaths now in America, but the president believes that the peak and the worst of it is starting to become, well, in the past. We're seeing a very interesting decrease of new hospitalizations, a decrease of ICU beds in New York, which has been, of course, where the firestorm has taken place. There's not a whole lot of media coverage about the available hospital beds and ICUs and ventilators in New York. Have you noticed that? Not a whole lot. Isn't it funny the way the media works on stuff like this? The panic is front and center. The governor of New York fighting for his state, and I get that. I appreciate it. We're going to need 30,000 ventilators. President said that's crazy. We can't get you 30,000 ventilators. We don't think you need that many. The president is a monster. Cuomo's a hero. All of a sudden, they haven't had any shortage of ventilators in New York. It's been bad in New York. There's no question. There have been scenes that I've witnessed on video and online that have just been horrific. People stacked up side by side, bodies in freezers, in refrigerated trucks. I'm not minimizing it, but I am grateful that evidently, and I think Governor Cuomo confirmed this, there wasn't anybody who has needed a ventilator who didn't get one. And now there are, in fact, they're sending ventilators that Cuomo was asking for to other states, he announced. So that's good news. It's good news to see these graphs and these charts that show the dramatic decrease in new hospitalizations, new infections, new illnesses in New York. But what does it look like around the rest of the country? I saw an article last night in Florida. Cases are going up. Some are predicting peaks coming in May. And how do you handle the containment of a national pandemic that is a worldwide pandemic, a national emergency? People are going to travel. People are going to move around the country. How does that work? Last night, a very blunt speaking U.S. Senator from Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy, was on the Fox News channel. Had a few things to say about the economy, about the health and the safety of the American people, and what reopening looks like. It is a very, very difficult chapter we're about to face. Today's the day that the White House is going to issue guidelines to the governors. And these guidelines it's going to be the governor's decision. Here's cut number 11. Last night, Senator Kennedy on Fox News Channel talking about the process of opening the country up again.
We open up, and we're going to have to. And somebody's got to make the call. We've got to be smart about how we do it. Don't open up in the middle of a hot spot. Encourage your elderly and those with pre-existing conditions to stay quarantined and provide them financial support. Wear masks. Try to socially distance.
These are, this is, he's right, a horrifically difficult decision, because we are going to have to reopen parts of the country while the virus is still present. And I don't know how to process that. I mean, surely those who favor extreme, draconian, strong measures recognize we can't be shut down forever. We can't be shut down for the entire year. We can't be huddled in our homes through December or beyond. How do we handle this? And how do we not acknowledge the total collapse of the American economy? Cut number 12. Here's what Kennedy said about that.
This economy is going to collapse. The Federal Reserve cannot buy the economy.
I mean, when it collapses, you understand what that means. For millions and millions of people, there'd be no going back. Right now you hope and pray that people who are being laid off, people who lose their jobs, people whose small businesses have gone under, dry cleaners, little restaurants, flower shops, manicure places, hair salons, you hope and pray that when it comes back, these people get jobs again. There's no guarantee they will. Kennedy said something last night that is very sobering, and I've got a smart audience. I got a lot of bright people who are capable of hitting a problem, working the answer, working the problem, coming up with the solution. Here's what Senator Kennedy said about when this reopening occurs, we got to face a terrible, terrible reality. Cut number 13.
And anybody who thinks that we can just leave this economy shut down indefinitely until we have no more cases, well, they probably still believe in Bigfoot, because that's just not realistic. And every politician, myself included sometimes, is just dancing around the issue. The American people get it. We got to reopen, and when we do, the coronavirus is going to spread faster, and we got to be ready for it.
We got to reopen the country. When we do, the coronavirus is going to spread faster, and we have to be ready for it. And those are words that are painful, but I believe it's a painful truth. And if you've got a better way, you let me know. You think we can be shut down for the rest of the year? How much longer do you think people can stay in their home and not make a living? How much longer can businesses remain closed to the general public? But since we've been in this mindset now for many weeks, how are you going to change that? I am praying, and I believe in the spirit of the American people and the goodwill of Americans. And I truly, throughout this entire thing, and I've heard some bleak things, experienced some tough things personally. We all are. We all are going through a very tough time. I believe in the greatness of this country, and I do know that we're going to get through this, and we're going to come out on the other side, and we're going to have a deeper appreciation than ever for one another, for the country we live in, for the planet we inhabit. We're going to do things differently. People make fun of me when I say I'm kind of inclined not to shake anybody's hand ever again. You think I want to shake hands if I'm living in an area that is reopened and the virus is spreading? Does that make any sense whatsoever? You know when you're going to get to shake a hand? When there is no virus. You know when there's no virus? Probably after there's a vaccine. And you know what's funny about a vaccine? Because everybody talks about that as the panacea. We got a flu vaccine. Check out how many people have died of the flu. No, I'm not comparing coronavirus to flu. Please don't put words in my mouth. How many people die of flu, and there is a flu vaccine? So is the media going to breathlessly report COVID-19 deaths even after there's a vaccine? We're going to see the same numbers on the chyrons on the TV screens every day. You're going to hear radio hosts like me have to dutifully read numbers every day. We're either going to change the mindset altogether, or there's going to be a massive collapse, and a collapse that I fear we can't return from. I want to welcome you in. We're in the ReliefFactor.com mobile studios, back in my kitchen, working from home, isolating like millions of you are. Thursday, April the 16th, 2020. Here